Let us create an S3 bucket using AWS Web Console. It will be used to store GitHub activity data. We have to go to AWS Web Console and go to S3. Let me go to AWS Web Console by saying aws.amazon.com. We have to log in. Now I am logged in. We can go to S3 by clicking here. This is nothing but recently visited service. However, if you don't see in this, you just have to expand these services and you should be able to go to storage and you should be able to click on S3 to go to S3. Once you click on S3, it will take you to the S3 web console. Now it is prompting me to log in. Let me log in here. I have MFA, so I have to enter the code also. Let me enter the code. Let me now sign in. Now it will take me to S3 web console. I'll be creating a bucket by name itv-github. You can use hyphens as part of the bucket names. So let me say create bucket here and then itv-github. If you are using organization account, you might have to be specific with respect to region. I'm using North Virginia, which is default region for my account. That being said, once you give the name and choose the appropriate region, you can actually click on create bucket to take care of creating the bucket for you. You don't need to worry too much about other options at this time. Once the bucket is created, you should be able to search for it like this and then go to the bucket by clicking on it, and then you should be able to create folders. So we'll be creating two folders, landing and raw. I will explain the purpose of those folders in a moment. For now, let's click on create folder and name it as landing. And also I'll be creating another folder for now, which is nothing but raw. Now let's get back to the material and understand what these folders are for. The landing zone, which is nothing but landing folder, will be used to ingest data from external sources. So it will be the starting point to get data into our data lake, which is being built on top of S3. So this S3 bucket is nothing but data lake for our GitHub related project, which we'll be developing to learn AWS analytics in depth. Typically, we'll store data in the landing zone using different file formats, but in our case, we'll be storing using JSON because the GitHub activity data which we'll be using is in JSON format. But depending upon your organization and the sources from which you are getting the data, the file format in the landing zone can be different types depending upon the different sources you are getting from the other teams. Typically, data in the landing zone will be deleted. It will act as a scratch pad and we can delete data that is older than 30 days or as per the SLAs. The raw zone will be used to store data from sources following our data lake standards. So we might get data using different standards from different sources in a complex project. We can actually streamline into a standard format by defining something called as raw. In small projects, there will be only one layer. There will not be two layers, one for landing and one for raw. But for complex environments where we will be supporting multiple projects where data is being sourced from multiple source applications, there we'll have this distinction between landing and raw. Landing will be used as a scratch pad. We'll absorb the data the way it is dumped in. Then we'll standardize and copy the data to raw, and we'll maintain the data in raw for extended period of time. It can be anywhere between 7 to 10 years depending upon the organization preferences and SLAs. That being said, we have already created two folders, one for landing and another for raw. As part of the raw, we'll be using Parquet file format, and also we'll partition the data by date to understand when we got the data into the folders in the raw layer. We'll be using both as we get into the AWS analytics related services to learn using our GitHub project or GitHub dataset.